We live in a world addicted to stimulation, a sip of caffeine, a scroll of the feed, a spark of drama just to feel alive again. Chase chemical highs, mistaking them for happiness. Watch till the end, because by the time you reach the seventh reason, you will not only see how it all connects, but I will also share with you 5 simple steps to use everything you've learned here in everyday life so that you can reach your highest potential, even if you don't really believe in God. So why does prayer actually work, even if you don't really believe in anything? Because when you look at it not from a religious standpoint, but from the standpoint of neurochemistry, you'll learn that almost every thought that goes through your mind is charged with emotion, and that's how it becomes a biochemical signal that rewires your brain. Before I continue, I want to clarify that this video isn't a call to join any faith or choose a belief system. It's an exploration of how faith itself, in any form, works through the lens of science and spirit, of why belief, no matter what you believe in, can physically transform the brain and body, and how it affects your mind in general. When you pray, focus, or express gratitude with real intent, your brain hears it as truth, and truth releases chemistry, dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, the same hormones people try to chase through alcohol, drama, or scrolling. Therefore, the moment you learn to speak in the language of gratitude and focus, your brain starts to create those feelings on its own. You no longer need the world to stimulate you because you've learned to generate energy from within. That's why prayer isn't mystical, it's mechanical, a form of inner programming, the oldest neural technology known to humankind. And in the next few minutes, you'll discover 7 powerful reasons why this mechanism works and how understanding them can completely shift the way you think, feel, and perceive your own mind. Each reason builds on the next, revealing step by step how something as simple as conscious speech can reshape your chemistry, therefore retraining your brain as a result, opening a kind of potential that no drugs or substances can provide.
Reason number 1, a prayer rewires your neural pathways. When you speak, the words you say don't just disappear into the air. They create a foundation in your brain, a kind of blueprint your mind uses to build future patterns of thought and behavior. But how does it work? Every thought is electricity. Every emotion is chemistry. Together, they form the language your brain understands. Impulses that connect, repeat, and solidify into structure. When you repeat words of fear, your brain builds circuits of fear. When you repeat words of gratitude, it builds circuits of calm. That's neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to reshape itself through repetition and emotion. Neurons that fire together, wire together. And what you practice thinking becomes what you automatically believe. Think of a McDonald's commercial. How many times do you have to hear that jingle before you start humming it unconsciously? That's neuroplasticity in action. Advertising is built on repetition. Play the same sound often enough, and your brain starts looping it automatically. Suddenly, you crave something you never planned to, and that's because your neurons were trained to respond. Here's a micro story. Picture a child repeating "I can't" for years and growing into an adult whose brain still runs that program. Prayer reverses that loop. Each word of gratitude becomes new wiring, a physical re-education of your neurons. It's the same mechanism, only this time you are in control. When you consciously choose what to repeat, words of peace, gratitude, belief, what you are really doing is you're programming your brain intentionally, not passively. You're creating neural pathways you actually want, instead of the ones TV commercials built for you. Therefore, prayer isn't a mystical act, it's mental training. Each word becomes a signal, teaching your mind which frequencies to keep alive. Reason number 2, it stabilizes your dopamine system. When you pray, something subtle but powerful happens inside your brain. Your reward system starts to change. But how does it work? Dopamine is the molecule of motivation, but not of happiness. It doesn't create pleasure, it predicts it. That's why it drives you to reach, refresh, check, and repeat. Each time you get that micro reward, your brain learns chaos equals excitement, and so you start chasing it. A micro story. You open your phone for just one message. 10 minutes later, you're still scrolling, chasing that one post that makes it worth it. What happened? Your brain has mistaken random noise for reward. Prayer and gratitude interrupt that loop. When you slow down, breathe, and speak words of appreciation, your brain still releases dopamine, but it does it differently, slower, steadier, cleaner. It's no longer attached to instant noise. It's linked to inner balance. Neuroscience shows that when the prefrontal cortex regulates dopamine, motivation shifts from seeking novelty to sustaining purpose. In that balance, the drive remains, but without the chaos. Therefore, prayer doesn't numb your drive, it refines it. It teaches your brain to feel rewarded for peace instead of pressure, for focus instead of frenzy. And once your reward system stabilizes, calm becomes its own high.
Reason number 3. It activates oxytocin, the chemistry of trust and connection. When you pray, truly pray, not out of fear, but out of love, your brain releases one of the most healing chemicals it knows, oxytocin. It's the same hormone that rises when someone hugs you, when you feel safe, when you hold eye contact with someone you trust. But how does it work? Oxytocin tells your nervous system you're not alone. You're safe now. That's why love, gratitude, and compassion calm the body. They literally change its chemistry. They also increase vagal tone, the signal through the vagus nerve that deepens your breath and slows your heart rate. Here's a micro story. You text 10 people and feel nothing, but one person looks into your eyes and says, "I'm proud of you." And suddenly, you can breathe again. That's oxytocin. Real, not digital. Now, think of how most people try to get that feeling today. You open your phone and the scroll begins, one reel after another, how to teach a giraffe Mandarin, an octopus learning piano in 25 minutes, and so on. It's absurd, random, and somehow your brain can't look away. Each swipe gives you a tiny chemical cocktail, a micro dose of dopamine, a whisper of fake oxytocin. But when those hits come hundreds of times a day, the system burns out. The more you scroll, the less you feel. And when you finally stop, it crashes. That hollow emptiness that feels like the soul's hangover. This pattern can lead to real depression fast. Your brain, flooded by endless micro releases of dopamine, suddenly runs dry. It's overstimulated, then starved, trying to find its baseline again. And during that reset, you can feel lost, heavy, or disconnected from everything around you. Prayer works in the opposite way. It's the antidote to digital overstimulation. Instead of chaotic spikes, it restores rhythm, a steady balance between dopamine and oxytocin. Therefore, prayer reconnects you not just to something greater, but to everything and everyone around you. It rebuilds trust from the inside out, a kind of safety no screen can imitate. Reason number 4, it quiets the amygdala and lowers cortisol. When you pray or enter a state of deep focus, something remarkable happens. The internal alarm starts to quiet down. But how does it work? The amygdala is your built-in threat detector. It keeps asking, what if? And in the modern world, it never sleeps. Think about the nights when you can't fall asleep. You lie there, replaying every possible disaster. That's your amygdala, acting like a car alarm that won't turn off. When you pray or breathe slowly while repeating calm, meaningful words, blood flow shifts from the amygdala to the prefrontal cortex, the seat of logic and empathy. Cortisol drops. Your nervous system switches from fight or flight to rest and restore. A micro story. A woman sits in her car before an interview, heart racing. She whispers, "I'm safe, I'm ready." 1 minute later, her breathing slows, her mind clears. Same situation, different chemistry. In that moment, prayer becomes self-regulation, not superstition. Therefore, prayer doesn't erase your problems. It changes your physiological response to them. It teaches your body how to return to calm without waiting for the world to calm down first. Reason number 5. It reshapes perception. You start to see what you focus on. When you pray or express gratitude, you're not just talking to something outside yourself. You're tuning the internal lens that decides what you notice. But how does it work? Your brain handles millions of signals every second. Only a fraction reach awareness. That filter, the reticular activating system, decides what matters. Ever notice how when you buy a red car, you start seeing red cars everywhere? They were always there. Your brain just wasn't paying attention. Once focus shifts, the filter adjusts. The same thing happens with prayer. When you repeat words of gratitude or affirmation, you train your RAS to search for patterns that confirm those states. Your brain starts finding harmony, beauty, opportunity, because that's what you told it to look for. Think of it like updating your internal search engine. If you keep typing problems, your mind will show you problems. But when you start typing peace, growth, or gratitude, the algorithm changes. Just like YouTube algorithm begins to recommend videos similar to the ones you watch, your brain begins to recommend experiences similar to the ones you believe in. It starts recognizing energy, people, and events that match your new focus. Your internal feed synchronizes with your state of mind, and suddenly, your external world follows. Here's a bridge thought. The moment you change your focus, reality changes its tone. The outside world starts mirroring your internal headlines. Therefore, prayer doesn't magically change reality. It changes your access to it. It adjusts the lens, and through that lens, the same world begins to look entirely different. Reason number 6, it creates coherence between heart and brain. When you pray or feel deep gratitude, something beautiful happens inside your body. Your heart and brain begin to speak the same language. But how does it work? Every heartbeat sends information to your brain through electromagnetic signals. When you're anxious, those signals are chaotic. Your brain receives noise. But when you enter a state of calm focus through true prayer, meditation, deep breathing, or sincere appreciation, your heartbeat becomes steady and smooth. Research from the Heart Math Institute shows that this heart-brain coherence strengthens immune response and emotional resilience by up to 40%. It's the body's way of saying, we're synchronized. It's like an orchestra before a concert. At first, every instrument plays its own tune, messy, confusing. Then the conductor lifts his hand, and the chaos turns to harmony. That's what happens when your mind and heart synchronize through prayer. Your thoughts slow down, your breathing deepens, and your entire body aligns to one frequency, the frequency of peace. Therefore, prayer isn't just mental focus, it's physiological alignment, turning internal noise into symphony. A bridge thought. Once the body finds rhythm, belief gives it purpose.
Reason number 7, it merges belief with biology, the point of transformation. When you pray with true conviction, not out of habit, but with emotion and trust, something extraordinary happens. Your biology begins to mirror your belief. But how does it work? Your body is constantly listening to your mind. Every cell responds to the tone of your thoughts. Over time, those repeated signals become your body's blueprint for reality. Science calls it the placebo effect, but it's really belief made visible. A person believes they're healing, and the body obeys. Of course, this doesn't mean you can or should replace real medical care with meditation or prayer alone. We're not suggesting you skip doctors or treatments. The mind's work is meant to complement, not replace medical help, to help your body respond more effectively to the care it receives. Because even while medical treatment works on the body, belief continues its quiet work within the mind, reshaping the chemistry that allows healing to happen faster and deeper. Neurotransmitters shift, hormones stabilize, cells regenerate faster, not because of magic, but because belief and biology finally align. A micro story. A patient who believes in recovery often heals faster than one who doesn't. Not because hope replaces medicine, but because hope makes medicine work better. When you pray, affirm, or visualize with emotion, you're sending instructions to your nervous system. You're programming chemistry to follow conviction instead of chaos. Your body begins to act on the signal of faith, as if what you asked for is already happening. It's not imagination, it's biological communication. Faith becomes the interface between consciousness and matter, the bridge where thought becomes chemistry and chemistry becomes creation. Therefore, prayer isn't about asking, it's about encoding. Encoding peace into neurons, gratitude into hormones, strength into every cell of your being. And when belief and biology finally merge, your words stop being ideas, they become energy. The kind you created yourself, the kind that reshapes not only your mind, but the reality around you. And that's when biology stops being a limitation and becomes a language. Every cell begins to echo the thought you keep alive, and that echo becomes your reality. But wait, how do I begin, you ask? Here are some steps that you can take today to use an incredible power of practicing a prayer. And you can do this easily regardless of your religious views and beliefs. So before we close, let's dive into something important, which is how to start. Because knowing that prayer works is one thing. Learning how to do it, especially if you don't really believe in anything, is completely another. But here's the good part. To start and benefit from this, you don't need to know ancient verses or divine names. You don't even need to be sure someone's listening. All you need is the willingness to speak, sincerely, quietly, and from within. Think of Elizabeth Gilbert in Eat, Pray, Love. At the beginning of her story, she had everything: a house, a husband, a career, and yet she felt lost. She said, "Hello, God, I'm sorry.
I don't know what to do. That's it. That simple act of sitting down and talking honestly is where chemistry begins to change. Because the moment you express, your nervous system starts to regulate, your breathing slows, your cortisol drops, and in that calm, your prefrontal cortex begins to turn back on, the part of your brain that sees solutions. So if you've never prayed before, or if you stopped because life made you doubt, start small. Here are 5 steps to begin, no matter what you believe in.
Step 1. Sit still. Not to think, but to breathe. Find a quiet spot and sit down for 2 minutes. No ritual, no pose, just air. Breathe slowly in through your nose, out through your mouth. Each exhale tells your amygdala, we're safe now. That's how chemistry resets. Peace before words. Step 2. Speak, even if you don't know what to say. Don't wait for perfect words. Just begin. Say something simple. I don't know what to do. I need help. I just want to feel okay. The moment you speak it, you shift your brain from chaos into clarity. Because language organizes emotion, it gives shape to confusion. Step 3. Address it however you wish. Call it God, call it universe, call it life, energy, consciousness, or simply me. The name doesn't matter. Intention does. What matters is that you're stepping into dialogue with something greater than your fear. That's where trust begins. And trust produces oxytocin, the chemistry of connection. Step 4. Replace asking for with thanking for. Gratitude is what transforms prayer into power. Instead of saying, please fix this, say, thank you for showing me what I need to learn. That subtle shift tells your brain the outcome already exists, and your body starts producing dopamine and serotonin to match that reality. You move from desperation to creation. Step 5. Listen, not with your ears, but with your calm. When you finish speaking, don't rush away. Stay, wait, feel. Stay just a little longer. Breathe into the silence. Because in that pause, your nervous system settles, your pulse slows, and something gentle begins to surface. You may notice that new thoughts appear, softer, clearer. That's not magic. That's your neural network reorganizing around coherence, your biology catching up with your belief. It doesn't matter who you talk to. What matters is that you start. Because even the smallest act of honest conversation with yourself, with the universe, with the silence, begins to realign your chemistry, your focus, and your faith in life itself. You don't have to believe in God to pray. You just have to believe in your own capacity to feel, connect, and listen. That's where it all begins. In the moment you finally stop trying to believe and start simply being.
There comes a moment, the moment when faith and biology intertwine. When you realize that your thoughts, emotions, and words are not separate from your body, but part of one living system. A word is not just sound, it's energy. And it's the energy you yourself create. Every thought you repeat, every sentence you speak becomes a vibration your body records and your world reflects. Energy is the language of the universe. It's how you speak to life and how life speaks back. When faith turns into chemistry and chemistry becomes creation, your words stop being words. They become frequency. They become direction. They become life itself. And all of that without you even noticing. In the next video, we'll go deeper into that very force, words. You'll learn how language rewires your brain, how incredibly powerful it can be in shaping your behavior, your thinking patterns, and the chemistry behind every decision you make. How the words you use daily can either make you thrive or fall apart in love, in health, in confidence, and in success. Thank you so much for watching. If this video resonated with you, please give it a thumbs up. One simple like helps this message reach 10 more people who might need it today. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next part of this series. If you were touched by this video, or if you already practice this in your daily life, share your experience in the comments below. Sometimes your truth is exactly what another person needs to hear in that very moment. Until next time, stay calm, stay curious, and stay connected to your inner peace.